Every winter, Baikal freezes into a vast world of transparent ice, a sheet so clear you can see 40 meters down. But beneath this glassy surface, something else stirs. Baikal doesn't just crack, it sings. Deep booms, ringing whistles, echoes that travel miles, sounds that resemble voices, sometimes even choruses. Locals call it the Frozen Choir. Tonight, we investigate one of Earth's strangest natural phenomena, the mysterious music of Baikal's winter ice. In 1958, Soviet researchers studying underwater acoustics placed microphones beneath the forming ice. They expected to capture simple cracking. Instead, the recorders picked up harmonic tones, oscillating pulses, rhythmic patterns, and long rising notes lasting up to 20 seconds. One scientist wrote, "The lake produces sounds structured like music." An internal report described the tones as similar to human voices, soft, layered, almost choral. The team labeled the recordings unexplained resonant events. Long before scientists measured Baikal's sounds, the Buryat people had their own explanation. According to elders, the lake is home to powerful spirits. In winter, when the water sleeps, the spirits speak through the ice. Some say the voices warn of storms. Others say they call fishermen away from danger. And some whisper that Baikal repeats the voices of those who drowned in its depths. A traditional saying, "The lake does not forget a voice." To this day, some residents refuse to cross the ice at night, not because it's unsafe, but because they fear the voices beneath their feet. Baikal produces a peculiar category of sounds known as ice whistles. These tones rise suddenly, fall slowly, shift pitch in smooth curves, travel long distances. Tourists typically hear them as metallic chirps, but researchers studying spectrograms noticed something unsettling. The whistles contain layered overtones, similar to human vowel formants. In simple terms, some of Baikal's ice sounds resemble the structure of speech. Not actual words, but unnervingly close. During a 1987 winter expedition, a group of Moscow acousticians camped directly on the ice. Late at night, temperatures dropped sharply. The ice contracted, and the lake began to sing. But this time, the microphones recorded something new. Multiple tones, starting at different points, rising together and merging into a chord. One scientist whispered, "It sounds like a choir warming up." The recording lasted nearly a full minute. To this day, it is one of the most complex Baikal ice events ever captured. Local fishermen tell a story from the early 2000s. Two men were crossing the frozen lake when they heard a loud pop under the ice, then a rising tone, then something that sounded like whispered syllables. They claimed the whispers resembled oyo, oyo, Buryat-like vocal patterns. One fisherman froze in fear. The other insisted it was the wind. But then the whisper repeated, louder, and from directly beneath their feet. Both men ran until they reached shore. They refused to return to Baikal's ice at night. In 2011, scientists studying Baikal's winter thermodynamics recorded sudden thermal pulses under the ice. Each pulse cracked the ice in a circular pattern, sending sound waves in perfect rings. When these rings collided with natural fractures, they produced tones that sounded almost vocal, wavering, oscillating, layered. One researcher said, "It's like the lake is breathing outwards." However, not all pulses were natural. Some occurred in sequences resembling rhythmic patterns, too organized for random physics.
In 2018, an underwater microphone was lowered 100 meters below the frozen surface, far beneath the singing ice. The team expected to hear water movement, ice friction, and distant cracking. They did. But they also heard something else, a faint, low-frequency tone, not geological, not mechanical, not biological. A tone that rose slowly, like a voice inhaling. Then a second tone, higher, followed it. The two tones intertwined, forming a trembling harmony. When played back, the sound resembled chanting. The audio file was labeled Subsurface Harmonic Anomaly and remains unexplained.
In 2019, a solo traveler named Dmitry was walking across the ice near Olhuin Island. At sunset, he shouted toward the cliffs, just to hear the echo. But the echo didn't match his voice. His shout was low and rough. The echo returned higher, almost melodic. He froze. Then he shouted again, louder. This time the echo returned softer and a half-second late, as if someone whispered his words back to him. He turned on his phone's recorder. The audio captured his voice, a long rising whistle, and a faint reply that didn't match his tone, sounding almost feminine. Dmitry left the lake immediately. During a winter trek in 2020, 3 hikers set up a tent directly on the ice. Temperatures dropped sharply after midnight. That's when the lake began to sing. The hikers heard long metallic tones, echoing booms, rising whistles moving beneath them, and rhythmic pulses like a distant drumbeat. But then something unexpected happened. The tones began forming patterns. Low, high, low. Pause. High, high, low. Pause. One hiker said, "It felt like the lake wasn't cracking. It was performing." Their tent floor vibrated gently, not from wind, but from the ice itself. The performance lasted 14 minutes. In 2021, drone footage captured a new pattern of cracks forming near Cape Cowboy. Most cracks are random, but this one was not. 3 long fractures, followed by 2 short ones, then a curved line connecting them. To locals familiar with old Buryat symbols, the pattern resembled the word slusha, which means listen. Glaciologists insisted it was a coincidence, stress fractures caused by temperature drops. But the pattern was so clean, so precise, that even skeptics hesitated. When the wind blew across the cracks, they produced a low humming tone, almost like a voice. Acousticians later discovered that Baikal's ice can produce double overtones, 2 harmonic layers vibrating simultaneously. This happens when ice thickness varies sharply, temperature drops rapidly, and stress waves collide under the surface. But during one 2022 experiment, microphones captured a completely new effect. Overtones that shifted in opposite directions. One tone rose in pitch, the other fell. Then they crossed each other, forming a trembling voice-like resonance. It was the closest natural sound ever recorded that resembled human singing. Even the scientists were shaken. In early 2023, underwater sonar detected a hollow corridor beneath a thick section of ice. It wasn't a cave. It wasn't a tunnel. It was a narrow air pocket stretching 40 meters long. Inside the corridor,
Microphones recorded sharp clicks, rhythmic claps, and something like a distant chant echoing through the air pocket. Divers could not reach it. The ice was too thick. The corridor collapsed weeks later. Whatever produced the sounds was never identified. In February 2024, a scientific team conducted the most detailed audio test in Baikal's history. They emitted a controlled tone beneath the ice, precise frequency, precise amplitude. 3 seconds later, the ice responded, not with an echo, not with distortion, but with a countertone, a perfect harmonic inversion of the original sound. The researchers repeated the experiment. Every time the ice produced the same countertone. One scientist whispered, "It's responding." The experiment was immediately terminated. After decades of research, 4 main theories remain. Theory 1, resonant ice dynamics. Baikal's unique ice produces layered acoustics seen nowhere else. Temperature, thickness, and stress fractures combine to mimic vocal structures. But this theory fails to explain the patterns, the responses, the countertones. Theory 2, geological memory. Some scientists speculate that Baikal's unique pressure systems allow it to retain and replay certain frequencies, echoes of past sounds, an acoustic memory. But this remains hypothetical. Theory 3, ancient echo chambers. Some researchers suspect that natural formations beneath the ice act like resonance chambers, amplifying sound in unusual ways. But no consistent chambers have been found. Theory 4, the Buryat explanation. The oldest theory is also the simplest. Baikal speaks, and if you listen, it will answer. Whether legend or physics, the frozen choir remains one of Earth's most haunting natural mysteries. A lake that sings, a voice beneath the ice, a place where winter sounds alive.